Hello guys, welcome. In today's video, let's discuss about functions. In our last video, we talked through some of the concepts about variables, and we discussed how to define a variable and how to store values in variables, and how can we retrieve values from variables, right? So let's build some more functionality on top of those concepts. So looking at this screen, so basically you see we have two variables and we did some addition, right? So let's say if you want to do another addition, for example, so here let's say we define a1 equal to different number, right? Let's say 20, and const b2 equal to 30, right? And then if you want to do a sum, I want to store value of sum in some variable. So let's say it is sum equal to a1 plus b2, right? So and then console log sum. So when you run that variable functions, so you see you got the second sum as 50, right? So which is good. But what if you want to do these kind of additions multiple times with the different numbers? How do you do it? So here if you have to continue to do this operation, always you have to continuously define variables like this. A2 equal to, it is different number, right? So 30, and const b3 equal to 40, and const sum1 equal to a2 plus b3, right? So sum1, right? And we print it out, so we got the result, right? So every time you want to do a new operation with the new values, you will have to define these variables like this, right? Variables, and then do the operation. What if I want to do 100 additions with the different variables, right? 100 times. You have to do this 100 times. Would that scale the program? Writing the program that way, would that scale? So here scaling means, would you be able to write those kind of programs in the real world, right? Nobody will wait for you to write a bigger program, and our customers won't wait for you, right, to write your program which will affect your application, right? So that's where you would want to explore different concepts, right? Okay, so for this kind of requirement, what concept can I use from JavaScript, right? So here what is the requirement? Every time you do an operation, you know what values you would like to add. So in this case, the operation that we took as an example is addition, right? So what values do you know right now? The input is 30 and 40 and 20 and 30, 10 and 5, right? So you know what values you want to add, and you're trying to find a way. Okay, so I know values. Wouldn't it be great that if I give these values to someone and which can do this operation and then give the result back to me, right? Wouldn't it be great if you had that kind of ability? So that's where like these functions will come into picture. So you can think of function like a person, different person, right? Person has mind, a person can do different calculations, person can take an input, person can talk, which is output, right? So exactly like that, treat function as a person. So with that analogy, if I have to do these operations with the different numbers, what we can do? Let's say we have, let's say, a function concept here, right? Let's say we have function a person with the name addition, right? That is the name of the person, right? So if this is a person, right, just for example, right, think that as a person. Now since we have person, now what we can do, we can ask that person, hey, I have these two numbers 10 and 5, I'm giving it to you, do addition and then give the result back to me. So what we are going to ask this person, what is the name of this person? Addition. I'm giving input to you which is 10 and 5. You do the addition, right? I know because the name of the person is addition, so I can assume that okay, that person knows how to do addition, right? So I'm asking you to add these two numbers and give the result back to me. So it returns 15 output, right? So if we have this kind of ability in programming, all we have to do is, so in this case I would just pass these values to the person and then it will give the result back to me, right? And same thing here. So how do we achieve that in JavaScript program? That's where function comes into picture. And here, and like I said, I told you to treat function as a person, and here the name of the person we gave is addition, right? So in program, how do you define or declare a function, right? You use function keyword, right? And then you give name of the function. So in this case we took addition as an example, and then braces, open brace and close brace. So a function name always proceed with the parenthesis, right? This is how you declare a function, and this is a person, right? Now you created a person. And how do we pass values to this addition, right? So function, basically this is the function declaration, right? Now we need to pass these values to this person, right? So a person, like you are passing values to him, a person should be able to receive them, right? That's where you define these arguments. These are called function parameters. Here we can say a comma b, right? So this is a function declaration. So by looking at this function declaration, what you can say is, oh, this is a function because there is a function keyword, and then name of the function. Okay, oh, it has two parameters. That means it is capable of taking two parameters. And what is its capability now? It can do addition and then return the result, right? So for simplicity we will say sum equal to a plus b, right? And then return sum. That's it. This is a person with the name addition, and then it takes two parameters. Whatever parameters it takes, all it knows is how to add them. That means in the body, this is called function body. All statements between these two curly braces is body. What is this body of the function? Now it is taking two parameters and then it is adding them and then putting the result back to the sum variable and then returning that result. That's what this function does. That's what you can, in the real world, you can think as a person, right? Now since we have this capacity now, right, or capability, how do we call that person? Now we know there is a person with the addition capability. Now you want to call that person, right? How do we call? Usually we call with the name. So we call with the name, and then we know this is expecting two arguments, right? Which is, these are parameters, right? What are those parameters? Values that you would like to add. So in this case, we will start with this 10 and 5. All I have to do is 10 comma 5. That's it. And since this function is returning a value, you know how to store value, right? We put result equal to this. So basically what we are doing here is we are invoking that function. That means we are calling that function, because that function returns a value, right? That value will be assigned to the result. Because it is getting a value, you know how to store values, right? How do you store values? You use variables, right? I'm putting the value into the variable. That's it. Now how easy it is. Now I can do this many times with a simple line of code, right? With the different numbers easily, right? So here I can pass 20 comma 30, and then I can define, right, result 2 equal to there 30 comma 40, right? That's it. Simple, 3 lines. And I didn't have to do all these variable definitions and addition operations many times like that. So what you are getting from here, so anytime you want to, you have a task that is kind of repetitive, and you can put that into a function, and you don't have to keep repeating the same logic every time, right? So that time what we do is, if you have a common logic, you separate them into function. That's where you use functions. And here, if you want to do 100 operations like this, you would have to call this function 100 times. So anyways, you will have to do all these 100 times. You have to write these lines of code, right? That problem we can fix it later in the later video, like using loops. But from this video, what you have to take away is function. What is function? A function is a thing that could address solving simple tasks, right? The task could be addition of operation, subtraction, or anything, any small independent task which would take a input and then return output. Common logic, right? You put that into a function. And for your understanding, you can treat function like a person with a mind, ability to do some task, right? So that is what is called function. Okay. So what you can do is a little bit explore about, play around with this different operations. For example, like doing multiplication or subtraction, right? And a function sometimes may not take any of the parameters. Okay, so you can see function something like this. A function, okay, so let me execute this until this point, and console.log result 1 comma result 2, right, result. So you would see 50, 70, 15, the third output. See, it is calling and returning a value and then putting the result value into the result, right? So you can also have a function like this, addition 1, and then simply without taking any parameters. So that kind of stuff, what it does is, you call it, but you don't have to pass the arguments. So when you call this one, how would you call? You would just call addition and then with an empty parenthesis. Okay, so this is when you see any statement like this, it is like it is called as invoking function. Invoking means calling function. Since this function doesn't expect any parameters, you don't pass those arguments here, you don't pass any values. Okay, and whatever you do in this body, it will just execute that. It may return value, we don't know, right? It can. So simply that is what is called function. It is a basic building block that let's play around with that, and then in the next video we'll catch up with solving how do I address not having to define this so many times like that. What concept can I use, right? All right, we'll catch up in the next video. See you there. Bye.